Hey guys, it's Nate, aka The Foot Accountant. Welcome back to the channel. Yesterday was another wild day for prices on the FC26 market, not just for meta cards like we discussed previously, but for the Ballon d'Or awards. Some of the price spikes were absolutely crazy, just making me think that this community is wild. We're going to discuss that a bit today. And also, we have some comments from EA today about the power curve as they've actually responded to some of our criticism from the weekend, specifically about the store packs we think, although it wasn't named. We're going to talk about that. And back to the market, prices are rising in general on a lot of cards, but I have some worries before we get to the weekend with this first promo of Cornerstones dropping on Friday. We're going to talk about that just so that we're prepared for the rest of this week and how I think the outlook of that is going to go. If you guys are excited for the video today, drop a thumbs up, hype the video, and subscribe if you are new. Now, what we always do is start off with the content from yesterday, and Monday was a pretty quiet day. We had two new SBCs, one player SBC, and our first upgrade pack of the year. The 77 times 2 upgrade pack, which is only repeatable 3 times per day. Usually they do limit these at the very beginning. I forgot about that last year as well. 6 rares and then 4 common golds is what you need for this. Honestly, for me, this one's a skip. I don't think you're going to get too much better from this than what you're going to get from the regular gold upgrade. And again, these are pretty solid. So personally, for me, I'm not going to do the 77 times 2s, and I'm probably still just going to do the gold upgrades sparingly just because it's not that great to be turning in too much from your club right now in terms of just sending everything for SBCs. Now, I do have an SBC pack that I do want to open today on the video. We have the rare gold pack from the early access challenge number 1 SBC. I just wanted to open this one up. I finally did it. I had to go and spend some coins on some MLS cards because this was a oddly hard SBC to complete from the club. Looks like we have an 83 rated Arsenal women's goalkeeper. We've got Konza, okay, Antonio Conte and an engine with the Barca Tifo and his Barca stadium theme. Wore a Barca pack for me. So, that's that right there. Nothing too crazy. I think we might get another one of those SBC packs today on Tuesday as well. But, do the gold upgrades over the 77 double. That's at least my advice in here for those upgrade SBCs. We also had a player SBC yesterday, as we mentioned, Sin Jensen. This was the League Squad Foundations card from a couple days back. 3-star, 5-star on the weak foot. That's very nice. Can play striker, right mid, right wing, and has solid stats. Really great reactions as well. You guys know it's a stat that we really hone in on. 85 dribble, shooting, and pace. Very well-rounded card. 90 heading accuracy as well. Has low-driven, aerial fortress, rapid, and tech. Winger ++, inside forward +, and false 9+ as the most important roles that this card has. And pretty cheap. 81, 82, and 82 rated squads. I will also mention the packs you get back. 2 small Electrum Players packs. Not bad. Honestly, not bad. Those are tradable. This SBC comes in at 18,000 coins. A lot of downvotes. You see 79% downvoted, but to be honest, that might be an SBC worth completing just for the tradable packs back that you get and for a solid super sub at the very least as well for a maybe second or third squad. Of course, we've been talking about those a lot recently. So that is not a bad SBC in my opinion, even though it's going to be a bit tougher to link unless you have Atletico Madrid links to your team already or maybe some like Liga F, some Norway links. But that's a really cheap SBC there. Now, I want to go to objectives really quick before we go to the evolution that dropped yesterday. There was a new Evo inside of FC Pro. Sorry, an objective in FC Pro. It's for the FC Pro Open ladder and the top 500. This is for very competitive gamers. You have to be in Division 4 to get into this. If you go into the play section and the For You section, I might show you this, the FC Pro Open ladder here. You have to be in a Division 4 to even qualify for this event. And then this is how you can qualify for the Pro Open regional qualifiers and earn a chance to compete in the FC Pro Open global qualifier. So if you're in Division 4 or if you have aspirations of being involved in the Pro ladder, you have to get to Division 4 to get involved in that. Of course, I'm good in Division 6. I'm leveling up. We're getting our rewards this week. We're chasing that. Of course, that's probably the gameplay mode that most people are playing right now is Rivals, but that's there, and that's the FC Pro stuff. If you saw that yesterday, that is kind of what's going on with that. We're really close, by the way. I got to get 9 more points. We're on a win streak at the moment. We blitzed through Division 7 this week. Hopefully, we can do the same with Division 6 and get our rewards and have a good, nice set of rewards for the first full release set of Rivals rewards this week. Now, I want to go and talk about the evolution from yesterday as well, because there was a leak for this Evo yet again. The Evos are leaked just about every day before they come out. And we had the Evo released yesterday, the silver, taking a silver up to a gold, basically. Strikers Rise Training Camp Evo. So once again, you cannot start this evolution from in-game. You have to start it from the web app or from the companion app. And, you know, it's a good Evo. When we first saw the leaks yesterday, I kind of got excited that maybe this was going to be a silver Evo. It's going to boost your silver card, but keep it as silver in terms of 74 rating and below so that we could use those cards in silver tournaments. But that is not how this Evo is working out. Still, though, it gives some pretty good stat boost. The one problem with this, I think, is the dribbling. Dribbling gets a plus 10, but it caps out at 80. And this is a good Evo, in my opinion, for creating a future Evo player that starts off as a silver, because you do get good playstyles here. You get Relentless, Game Changer, and Power Shot, and you get Poacher++, False 9+. That's good. That's actually really good for a silver player that's not going to have a lot of those roles probably already. So this is a very decent Evo, and there are a lot of silvers right now on the market that are up in price because of this, but there were also a lot of silvers yesterday that went up for the leak that came back down because they didn't actually fit the Evo and they were not very high. Probably one of the most hyped cards right now is the Chelsea man, Tyreek George. I believe his card is still extinct on the market. If we take a look as a 71 rated silver, yeah, he's been extinct at 10K since this Evo came out. He went up a bunch. And there's a handful of players as well, like that Manchester United Obi, that are extinct too. You know, that card right there is an 80 rated. You know, you're like, I need another Evo or two to get him to be a usable player. But this was the first step, and it's a good chunk Evo to get your card upgraded from a silver to a more usable gold. And the best part about it is you just have to put it in the training camp Evo and let it upgrade on its own. No games played. You just have to make sure you claim that evolution every day. So for me personally, I'm going to wait for a chain. And that's one thing I want to mention in today's video too, is we're talking about these Evos, and as we're getting more Evos consistently, like if there's not a card that fits into it for you right away, don't sweat it. Wait on chains. We're going to have the opportunity to put 2, 3, 4 Evos together, especially with repeatable Evos this year. There's going to be a whole lot of potential with Evo chains that has been different from previous years, with the ability to do evolutions multiple times. So that was one thing I wanted to mention, and that was the content from yesterday on Monday. Now, I want to talk about the content on the market, guys, as I'm trying to drop a bid here on a cheeky Pedri and make some coins, because the market has risen a good bit, and we'll get to that. But some of the price rises that we saw yesterday, man, this community is crazy. I don't know if it's just the hunger for coins and a bit of a slower day of content, or if it's just people want to run pump and dumps because they're bored. But with the awards yesterday for the Ballon d'Or ceremony, there were some wild market movements. And this did happen a little bit last year in FC25 as well, but it seemed to be even to a greater level this year. Guys, Donnarumma won the Yashin trophy, best men's goalkeeper, and Hampton actually as well for the on the women's side. She won that award for the women's, and her card went up in price. But yeah, Donnarumma went from 115,000 coins, and then all of a sudden during the award ceremony, since he won the award, spiked to 140K. It says 132. He actually peaked at like 145. I was on the game looking at his price when that happened for no reason, because you don't get a special card in game. You don't get pulled out of packs, or nothing happens to any of these guys, including Ousmane Dembele and Aitana Bonmati. Congrats to them, of course, for winning the award, the Ballon d'Or awards for the men and for the women. You don't get anything for these awards inside of the game. Usually there was a bit of a promo last year, but those were loan cards, and we'll talk about those in a second. But even Bonmati yesterday went from 390, rose a little bit with the general market rise, but then once the award ceremony started, she actually went all the way to 500,000 coins upon the announcement of her winning the women's Ballon d'Or. Crazy. This is crazy, man. Like, are people bored about this, man? Lamine Yamal, too. Of course, in the end, it came down to Ousmane Dembele against Lamine Yamal, and that helped his price kind of get hyped up, right? People were like, oh my goodness, Lamine Yamal, here we go. He went from 300K up to 390. That was his max. It says 360 here, but he did go to 390 for a quick second. It just feels kind of like more pump and dumps, to be completely honest. That's why I'm asking the question, Are people bored? Are they just hungry for coins on a slow market day? That's kind of the same thing, I guess. But just, if you saw these price rises yesterday, those are not natural. Those are kind of, fabricated, it almost seems. Like people are hyped watching this Ballon d'Or ceremony, which is a big deal. And honestly, congrats to Usman. It was a big spectacle of an award ceremony yesterday where it was so much buildup. And then they finally got to the end of, putting out the award. And it was a lot of questioning of who is going to be the winner of it. I mean, I think that boost is deserved. You can argue a lot of different ways. But yeah, those price changes on the market. Like I was kind of looking at the event, watching it, and we were streaming and looking at prices, and I was like, what is going on with these cards in the market? Now, with these Ballon d'Or cards, of course, this is fresh on our minds. Remember these Ballon d'Or loan cards that we had last year where EA gave us these 95 rated Ballon d'Or players? We got 3 of them for, I think it was 1 weekend or like 5 days or something like that. We had these cards for a limited number of games and we could just use them. We all got a player pick when we logged in and we got to pick a couple of them and use them in our teams. Maybe it was 2 or 3 of them. I forget how many it was. But this was wild back then. And a lot of people are now asking, is this going to happen again this year? A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't like it. But once again, I want to say this Ballon d'Or loan situation that happened last year in 25 did not happen until the end of October. It's the first week of the game still. There's no shot that we're going to get cards like this weekend. That would not make any sense at all. I think the Ballon d'Or ceremony was earlier this year than in previous years, and that might have been more around the time that this was released last year. But I guess this is still a potential thing that we could see in FC26, but I would be very shocked if it was anytime soon to see these Ballon d'Or cards. Surely not right now for this sort of situation, okay? So more market discussion that I want to have today, kind of revolving around the pump and dumps. Remember yesterday we looked at Dumornay, right? And she was 65,000 coins, and that was already double what she had been over the weekend. Well, yesterday she went to 90K multiple times. Guys, the pump and dumps, not only on the Ballon d'Or situations, but even here with some of the women's cards, continue to move and continue to be very strong. Like this Dumornay card went crazy. Giora went crazy. Diani went crazy again yesterday. Trinity Rodman was going up in price. A lot of people buying these cards. Now, granted, again, as somebody who has Dumornay, is she good? She's incredible, right? She is such an insane card. And there's a reason that some of these cards are going up in value because these cards are pretty good. But also, there is definitely an aspect of pump and dump to this. And as we kind of think about and talk about the market and these prices, heading into this weekend, after what we've seen on the market so far, we did have a nice market rise yesterday. And I'm not saying the market rise is going to stop today and that you guys have to sell cards from your teams right now to feel the safest. But I'm just kind of putting an early feeler out there for what I think would be the best thing to do before we get to this weekend of the first Cornerstones promo. We're probably going to start to get leaks of the Cornerstones promo maybe as early as today. You guys know how these leakers work, man. We've gotten leaks for the next promo on Mondays and Tuesdays before plenty of times. Sometimes they wait until Wednesdays or Thursdays. We'll have to see. But I just think with a whole new promo coming this weekend, we've got a new friendly mode that's going to be out there that we're going to be grinding. I think that maybe even on top tier cards, it rose very well yesterday, like this Frankie de Jong and like so many other players did, rise up in price really well. I think it might be a decent opportunity to think about selling from some of your cards, even if it's like a top tier player, like a Virgil van Dijk. We saw what 100K packs and what store packs did to the market this weekend. I mean, surely EA is going to drop store packs for the first real promo of the year where there's promo cards in packs. And again, that's the question I have as well. How good are these promo cards going to be with this slower power curve? Are they going to look worth it? They have boosted chemistry links for the club link. That's going to be valuable for some of these players. They're the first promo cards of the year, so they're going to have dynamic images, a cool card design. I wonder if that's going to hurt some of the regular gold market as well, just because we all want the new, the fresh, the exciting, and what has just been released, right? And leveling up in terms of our stats and stuff like that, and our players and our teams. So I think that you could still see a market rise today, even tomorrow, even after Rivals rewards on Thursdays. We're going to talk about this later on in the week too, but Rivals rewards barely bring any tradable supply to the market. In previous years, last year in FC25, we would see a nice dip because there was a lot of tradable packs and those player picks that were given out. during Rivals Rewards, if I take a look forward and even go into like Division 4, right? There's not a whole lot of people up here in these higher divisions, but even looking at some of these upgraded weekly rewards, you have a 81 plus tradable player pick. The rest is untradeable and you get 9,000 coins. So hopefully this week with the rewards from division rivals, you just see the market kind of go up a little bit since it just gives straight coins and you're not going to have that much supply, just one singular or two player picks maybe that we saw there that are tradable. So that's an interesting thing that I hope we see a bit of a rise again on the market on Thursday. But I kind of just want to say it might be a safe thing to do is try to exit out of some of those cards from your team just before we have this first promo Friday, just as a safe option. That's my early thoughts on that as we get closer to the first promo of the year. We're going to be talking a lot about cornerstones leading up to it this week because you guys know, right? These first promos will give us some of our first pieces of content, hopefully with Evos, player SBCs that'll be fun and worth doing, worth grinding. We'll have to see again. The biggest question is power curve and how do things move? And speaking of the power curve, there was a message from EA that was relayed yesterday, and I want to kind of talk about it because that was the biggest thing over the weekend, right? Oh my goodness, the 100K packs, right? What is EA doing with this slow power curve? It feels like they've gone back on their word a little bit, right? We were a little frustrated with that, especially when it causes the market to crash and it causes prices to drop as much as they did. You know, losing coins is never fun, but this was EA's. This is a EA response, by the way, directly to the community. It was put out yesterday by the Foot Weekly podcast, but this was a message that a lot of people had seen. It was kind of in the backroom messages, kind of the Discord channels between EA and some of the creators. They were saying, we want to be upfront in recognizing the community's response that the power curve feels too aggressive at launch. And they said after that, we want to be clear. Our commitment to a slower, steadier curve remains unchanged, and we're already making adjustments to ensure the experience reflects that promise. Interesting that they would release a statement. And by the way, this happened hours after. This happened, I think it was 1:08 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday morning. So this would have been late night after the Friday release of content and after those 100K packs were released in the store. I don't know what other parts of the game people are maybe complaining about the power curve moving too fast, but I have to imagine that it would be these 100K packs in the store here that they are mentioning and that everything is being alluded to in terms of the power curve moving faster. I mean, they are saying already they're going to make adjustments to ensure that the experience reflects the promise. And as we've kind of talked about, we've talked about EVOs and SBCs and objectives and stuff like that. Feels like the power curve is at a good spot for the rest of the game, except for what happened here with the tradable 100K packs. So, you know, guys, there's a new promo coming out this weekend. We've mentioned it, Cornerstones. There's going to be packs in the store. EA is going to try to make that bread, right? Like, they're going to be a business. They're going to make money as well. But are they going to release 100K packs again? What does it look like for them to take that experience and take the community's feedback into, you know, effect right off the bat in this sort of way and change things to this weekend? That's something I'm just going to be very interested in because, you know, they could have dropped this last weekend on Friday instead of the 100K packs, just the 45s and the 25s, and we would have seen market drop from that, but it wouldn't have been like such of a, oh, wow, what is EA doing? Slow power curve, whatever type of situation if these 100K packs were not there. So I'm very curious to see in the next 3 days when we get closer to the next promo, what happens with this. The untradeable packs that are in here, personally, I think EA sell a lot of untradeable packs from the store, but for me, you know, these don't matter as much as the tradables because when you think about slower power curve and you think about what Jamie even said in our interview with him in Vancouver, he talked about how the way the market moved in FC25, you had to be so careful with the cards that were in your team. You had to be constantly monitoring their prices on the market because one day they could be good and the next day they could just get absolutely cooked in price because of how fast the power curve moved and how fast we were upgrading to new cards. And so far this year, you know, the market was having the huge rise that it had on Friday and on Thursday of last week, early doors, and then the store packs came, and after that it's just kind of been a little bit stagnant, but we're finally seeing some rises again. So I'm just so interested to see what happens on Friday. But that's kind of why I wanted to work in that conversation about the power curve with what EA said, plus with some of my thoughts, at least on general cards on the market. You can drop some questions down below in the comments. I'll get in there and answer some of you guys on specific market questions, as we always try to do. And always, just to mention once again, if you want some more hands-on, one-on-one specific advice in terms of trading from some very, very accomplished traders in the community, we do have the link up with our friends at the Weaver Discord and Donk Discord down in the description. It's the Patreon link down there, and you can get 10% off if that sort of way of learning the market interests you the most. Now, I want to talk about content today on Tuesday. I'm not expecting much of content today, to be completely honest. I'm mostly curious about the leaks and to see how much information we learn about what's coming out through the rest of this week. Now, I will say this, if you guys like Rush, or if you just like the packs from Rush and you're getting some evos done in this game mode, I've actually found Rush to be decently fun this year with the gameplay changes. Just a side note. But the weekly rush points are going to refresh today. Again, this says here that it's repeatable, so it should be this exact same objective, just refreshing. My question is, I believe the rush mode itself is going to refresh today too. If we go into competitive and we see rush and we click on this mode, yeah, it's there. It's going to be gone in 12 hours. Early access rush. So I don't know what's going to change there. I don't know if it's going to be like double rush points or anything like that, but that is something to keep in mind, that that'll be a part of content today. Also today, as I just completed in the beginning of the video, the early access challenge 1, I would imagine we get an early access challenge 2 today, since we did not get one yesterday. Either today or tomorrow, I would expect something along those lines there. And maybe that's it. I mean, especially with leaks, guys, we're looking forward to the Team of the Week leaks. If we're going to get some information, especially for those of us who have invested in Pulisic, in Messi's, in Ansu Fati, maybe Ferran Torres from Sunday, Eder Militao, of course, like I have. I mean, this is the next big piece of news. And for these cards that are gold cards looking to get Team of the Weeks, this is kind of the beginning of the sell window. You probably don't want to sell just yet, because if a player does get leaked to be in the Team of the Week, their card for their gold card will almost always go up further, because then that'll also click in people's minds like, oh, frick, it's really happening. They're getting a Team of the Week. And that's when it's a good time to start watching those prices rise. And then as we get into tomorrow and Wednesday for the actual Team of the Week, start offloading those cards in the safe way of doing things, selling in the hype. But watch out for those Team of the Week leaks today. We'll see if we get any of those from any of the guys on Twitter. And we still have a couple of player species leaked. I guess it's just one now. Chukwuemeka from Dortmund is the only one that is leaked at the moment. So I don't know if that'll be today or not. But again, I'm just so interested to see how this week goes. It's not like the content's super crazy right now, and I think that's fine. We got the tournaments going on. Oh, speaking of the tournament, the early access tournament ends today. So I think if I go into live events, does that mean the early access finale? Okay, no, this does not start for a couple more days. But if you were trying to get in to the finale and get that Dolan card from objectives in the packs, you have 5 last entries to finish up before the content time today to get this early access elimination tournament done, so you qualify for the early access finale. So that's just one thing to watch there, kind of some gameplay situations with Rush and that going on today. So that's kind of the lay of the land right now inside of this game. I'm trying to make a few trades here or there. I did buy a Cristiano Ronaldo on bid for 13,000 coins. I'll be 100% honest. The reason I bought one of this card is because AA9 Skills, very popular YouTuber, made a video saying that Ronaldo was an insane card for him. And in the past, actually, if you remember the Hierro Icon card last year, that card went up so much in value because he made a video about it. So not saying that that's going to happen. It could, but with the amount of pump and dumps that are happening with a lot of these cards on the market right now, is like, you know what, let me pick one of those up for 13K. At the very least, I'm going to be able to sell it for 15, because that's his normal price fluctuation there. And then that's, speaking of price fluctuations, that's just kind of how I'm trying to trade at the moment. Icons, heroes are okay. You know, there's a lot of people that are trying to trade icons and heroes. Like I flipped a Bomb Pastor yesterday for like 5, 6, 7K profit. Like that was about it. And here's another one for 138 that's like kind of low. But like if I'm buying that for 138, then I'm probably only going to sell it for 149, since there's a lot of 150s there. That doesn't feel worth it to me. You got to make it worth your flip and at least make you need a 10% profit, 5% to cover the tax, and then 5% for you to actually profit yourself. So it's a little bit more difficult to find those on the lower tier heroes. So I'm also just trying to do some lazy listing as I was doing yesterday on low tier cards and just try to trade with some of the fluctuations. Pedri is a card I've got my eye on today. If I can snag this one here for 135, I'll be happy because hopefully he goes up into the 150s. You know, it's that sort of fluctuation that I will be trying to trade with today myself on this game. Anyways, guys, we'll be live today on Twitch, on this YouTube channel, as well as on TikTok, and we'll be looking at all the market movements, seeing what news we get and what content we get today on a Tuesday. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a thumbs up on it, comment down below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the stream today. It's been Nathan for the Count. Have a great Tuesday. Peace out.